Luna opens her eyes for another day under the blue sky of Andalusia, the city awakening in a ballet of colors and sounds that mix with the aroma of the flowers she loves so much. With a kind smile, she prepares for another day at her small flower stand, a colorful oasis in the bustling city life. Good morning, Andalusia, Luna greets the day as she walks through the narrow streets with her basket of flowers on her shoulder. Each step is a reminder of her simple but happy life that she chose, despite the mystery that surrounds her. When she arrives at her stand, she meticulously organizes each flower, creating arrangements that look more like living paintings. Her skillful and careful hands work with the delicacy of the petals, while her mind sometimes wanders to the key-shaped pendant that always hangs around her neck. Where do I come from? She wonders, touching the pendant, the only link with her unknown past. The clients begin to pile up, attracted not only by the beauty of the flowers, but also by the aura of kindness that Luna radiates. She serves each one with a smile and a kind word. May everyone's day be a little brighter for who this beautiful arrangement is today, Mrs. Mary asks Luna, handing over a bouquet of red roses and sunflowers. For my dear granddaughter today, she is performing in the school theater. Your flowers always bring joy, Luna answers the lady with a smile that denotes gratitude. As the day goes by, Luna reflects on her life. Despite the unanswered questions about her origin, she feels grateful for the affection of those around her and for the peace she finds among her flowers. Maybe it doesn't matter where I come from, but the lives I touch here and now, she thinks, arranging another floral bouquet as the sun begins to set, turning the sky orange and pink. Luna closes her stall, happy with another day of work. She knows that despite the mystery that surrounds her, her story has found a purpose in that small flower stand in Andalusia. Walking back home, the pendant swings gently to the rhythm of her steps, a key to a forgotten past perhaps. But Luna carries with her the certainty that the answers she seeks may not be as important as the moments of joy that the life of a flower seller shares every day. For now, while the unanswered questions remain stored, waiting for the right moment to be revealed, James Johnson, a man known in Andalusia for his achievements in the world of business and the influence he has the task that day of choosing flowers for an important corporate event for his company. Although he generally delegated those tasks, something prompted him to take charge of that particularly personal detail. Perhaps it was the desire to add a human touch and warmth to the event, a characteristic that many said was missing in his personality as a rigorous businessman. Walking between the various stalls of the flower market, his eyes landed on a small stall that seemed to shine with a charm of its own. The vibrant colors and the impressive arrangements were attractive, yes, but it was the welcoming smile of the saleswoman that really attracted him. "Good afternoon, James," he greeted with a nod. "I need floral arrangements for a business event. Can you help me?" Luna, with her usual friendly smile, nodded. "Of course, sir. Do you have any preferences for colors or flowers?" While they were discussing details, James couldn't help but notice the key-shaped pendant on Luna's neck. There was something intriguing familiar about that simple piece of silver, a feeling that caused him a momentary pause. "A pretty piece," he commented, trying to hide his sudden curiosity. "Thank you," Luna replied, unconsciously touching the pendant. "It is a mystery to me. It has also been with me for as long as I can remember." The conversation flowed naturally while they were choosing the flowers. James found himself surprisingly comfortable with Luna, something rare in his usual calculated social interactions. Her simplicity and authenticity contrasted with the cold and calculating business world to which he was accustomed. After finishing the selection, James paid, but his mind remained partially on that silver key and on the flower seller who seemed to belong to another world so distant from his. Walking back to his reality of meetings and executive decisions, James felt a lightness that he had not experienced in a long time. "It must be the effect of the flowers," he told himself, trying to ignore the persistent curiosity about Luna's pendant. In that brief encounter, Without either of them realizing, the seeds of destiny were sown. As James walked away, a part of him knew that this moment would be more active in his life than he could imagine. For now, however, the mysteries remained untouched, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. On a quiet night in Andalusia, while the city slept under a blanket of stars, James Johnson was immersed in a restless dream. His dreams, marked by glimpses of long-forgotten happiness, transported him back to a time when joy filled his home, a time before the abyss of sadness that the accident had brought into his life. In his dreams, his daughter ran through a sunny garden, her crystalline laughter resonating like music. She looked back, looking for her father with eyes full of innocence and love. These vivid night visions made James wake up with a renewed sense of loss, a burning longing to return to a past that time had relentlessly taken from him. Meanwhile, Luna's life unfolded, oblivious to the connection that united her to James. The memories of her own childhood were like fragments of a dream of which she could only remember snippets. When she woke up, however, in a rare moment of stillness, she was assaulted by flashes of a life before the orphanage, happy moments of a childhood spent in a home full of love and laughter. The memory of two loving figures that she sensed were her parents brought her a sense of nostalgia for something she couldn't fully remember. One day, while walking through the Andalusia market, Luna felt a wave of nostalgia as she passed by a street that seemed strangely familiar to her. The sight of an old house with colored windows and a wrought iron gate unleashed an avalanche of memories. She remembered a little girl holding hands with her parents, laughing as they ran together through the front garden. These memories, although diffuse, were full of love and joy, an obvious contrast to the loneliness that had marked much of her life. The awakening of these lost memories in Luna and James's recurring dreams were not simple coincidences. They were threads of destiny intertwining, guiding them towards each other. Although neither of them yet understood the depth of the connection that united them, as James struggled to find sense in the dreams that disturbed his nights, Luna began to question the roots of the memories that arose in her mind. Both were driven by a force that they could not explain, feeling compelled to seek answers to the questions that had been avoided for so long. The lost memories and dreams were revealed not only as echoes of a painful past, but also as keys to the truth that had remained hidden. And as each one faced their own concerns and longings, destiny patiently weaved the path that would eventually reunite them, revealing the indissoluble ties that connected them. As the days passed in Andalusia, Luna was immersed in the organization of an event that was very close to her heart. A charity auction aimed at raising funds for the orphanage that had taken her in during her childhood. The idea had arisen from a deep desire to give back to those who had offered her love and support in times when she needed it most. The orphanage, a place that held not only memories of her own search for identity, but also the hopes and dreams of many other children. It was evident that urgent repairs and resources were needed to continue its mission. Luna, with her tireless nature and generous heart, dedicated every free moment she had to ensure the success of the event. It was during one of those planning meetings that James Johnson, now a frequent visitor to her flower stand, found out about the charity event. Intrigued by Luna's passion and dedication, he offered to help. "What can I do to support myself?" James asked, genuinely interested. Luna was surprised and flattered by the offer. He suggested, "Maybe you could help with sponsorship. We need resources to reach our fundraising goal." Moved because of Luna's story or the positive impact that the orphanage had on his life, James did not hesitate to count on it, committing not only to a generous donation, but also to his presence at the event. James's decision to sponsor the event did not go unnoticed. Their participation brought unprecedented visibility to the cause, attracting the attention of many other potential donors and volunteers. News of the event began to spread throughout Andalusia, promising a night that could mean a new beginning for the orphanage in the days leading up to the Luna auction. James met several times, discussing details and preparations. Each meeting brought them closer, revealing layers of their personality and creating a bond that went beyond the professional. Luna, with her honesty and contagious joy, and James, with his seriousness and unexpected gentleness, discovered respect and admiration. Mutuals arrived on the day of the event, and the charity auction exceeded all expectations. The community came together in a show of generosity, with each item auctioned bringing renewed hope to the orphanage. Luna, beaming amidst the success of the event, could not help but thank James, whose support she had been crucial. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, meeting her eyes in a moment of sincerity. "Your help will change the lives of many children." James, moved by Luna's words, felt a deeper connection. "It was a pleasure to help. Seeing the difference we can make, that's what really matters," he responded with a smile he rarely showed on that night under the stars of Andalusia. The unbreakable bonds between Luna and James were forged not only by the noble cause they supported, but by the tacit understanding that together they could illuminate the lives of those who needed it more. While the successful night of the charity auction unfolded under the stars of Andalusia, a shadowy figure watched from afar, hidden in the shadows. His eyes did not miss a single movement from Luna and James, whose growing closeness caused a palpable discomfort in the atmosphere around them. Surrounding her is a man whose past was intricately linked to Luna's in a way that she herself was unaware of. She watched with a mixture of envy and fear this man known in the high society of Andalusia for his influence and power, but whose name will remain unrevealed. Now he carried dark secrets with him. Years ago, he had played a crucial role in the accident that separated Luna from her family, an event that was not as fortuitous as it seemed, driven by greed and a long-standing dispute with the Johnson family. He saw in that tragic accident an opportunity to consolidate his power and eliminate James as a rival. However, the success of the charity event and the obvious connection between James and Luna brought fears that his past actions could be discovered. "I cannot make him get too close," he muttered to himself, aware that any investigation into Luna could unravel the web of lies and manipulations that he had skillfully built over the years. In the days following the auction, the villain began to act in the shadows, planning ways to get Luna away from James without raising suspicion. Meanwhile, Luna and James, oblivious to the evil presence that surrounded them, continued to strengthen their connection. The success of the auction had been just the beginning of a series of projects in which they decided to collaborate. United by the shared desire to make a difference in the community, they had no idea that with each step they took together, they aroused more the anger and despair of the villain who watched them on a silent night while planning his next move. The villain received a call from the other side of the line. An equally somber voice offered an alliance, promising to help separate Luna and James once and for all. "I accept," he said after a pause, sealing a pact that would trigger a chain of events capable of shaking the foundations of the life that Luna and James knew. And so, while the city of Andalusia continued its routine, a sinister plan began to take shape in the shadows, threatening not only the newly discovered connection between Luna and James, but also the truth that for so long had remained hidden. The brightness of Andalusia's morning sun brought a new day, but for James and Luna it was more than just another day. Driven by an unexplored force, both felt the urgency to unravel the mysteries that surrounded their lives. For James, the investigation into the accident years ago had become a personal matter. The more he thought about the instant connection he had felt with Luna, the more convinced he was that there was something more between them, something buried in the depths of the past. Luna, for her part, found herself facing the possibility that the key-shaped pendant she always carried with her could be the missing piece in the puzzle of his origin. The curiosity that until then had remained silent in his heart began to transform into a voracious need for answers. On a quiet afternoon while they shared a coffee in one of the charming cafes in Andalusia, James decided to go with Luna about his suspicions and intentions. Luna, there is something I need to tell you. I have been investigating the accident that happened years ago, the same accident that I believe is related to your past. James hesitated. She looked at him surprised and curious. I, too, have been thinking a lot about my past lately, he admitted, especially on this pendant, raising the small silver key so that James could see it better. He continued, I think it's time to find answers. The decision to seek the truth together sealed a new chapter in their journey. They began their investigation by visiting the orphanage where Luna had grown up, talking to the caretakers, and reviewing old records in hopes of finding some clues. Although most of the information was vague and the records were incomplete, one detail emerged: the description of a mysterious woman who had left Luna at the orphanage. The description specifically mentioned the K-shaped pendant. Meanwhile, James used his resources to delve deeper into the incident that had led to the loss of his daughter. He gathered police reports and news from newspapers of the time, looking for inconsistencies or overlooked clues. His heart told him there was more. In the story of a simple accident, as they put the pieces together, a pattern began to emerge suggesting a connection between Luna's pendant and the Johnson family. James, feeling more and more convinced of the connection between them, decided it was time to seek help from a genealogy specialist and perform a DNA test to eliminate any doubt about the possible relationship. The search for answers took them down paths never before imagined, bringing to light hidden truths that had deeply and indelibly shaped their lives as they ventured further. Deeply on this day, the bond between them was strengthened based on the shared hope of discovering not only their origins, but also the true meaning of family and belonging. The morning in Andalusia brought with it an air full of expectations. James and Luna, after spending days immersed in a tireless search for truths, finally came across a discovery that could change the course of their lives forever. In an old box of memories, carefully kept in the attic of the orphanage, they found a series of newspaper clippings and police reports that talked about the accident. One of the clippings highlighted a little girl found at the scene of the accident without injuries, but completely alone. The description matched the age that Luna would have been at that time. Also, one of the reports mentioned a pendant found with the girl, a pendant in the shape of a key, similar to the one that Luna always carried with her. This detail, until then seen as a simple coincidence, was now presented as a possible revealing link between Luna and the Johnson family. James, holding the cutout with trembling hands, felt a mixture of emotion and fear invade his being. Luna said, with her voice broken by emotion, "This report describes the pendant, the same pendant that you have, Luna." Equally affected, she looked at the document, trying to assimilate the magnitude of that discovery. The pieces of the puzzle of her life began to fit together, bringing with them a mixture of relief and trepidation. The possibility of finally understanding where he came from and who he really was seemed now within his grasp, but also carried with it the weight of the implications of that truth. The revelation prompted James to share with Luna deeper details about the accident that led to the disappearance of her daughter. He spoke about the unbearable pain of losing a loved one so abruptly and mysteriously, about the sleepless nights questioning her destiny, and about the now rekindled hope of maybe having found her. Luna could not ignore the signs. "Everything seems to indicate that you could be my missing daughter," James confessed, each word loaded with cautious hope. Luna, faced with the possibility of finally having a family, felt torn between the joy and the fear of allowing herself to fully believe in that possibility. The idea of belonging to a somewhat family that he had always dreamed of now seemed both a blessing and a threat to the balance he had built in his life with the determination to discover the truth. They decided that the next step would be to perform a DNA test. This decision, although full of uncertainties, promised to bring the definitive answers that they needed. They both yearned as the sun set over Andalusia, James and Luna, united by a bond that transcended simple explanations, prepared to face whatever the result of the test had in store for them. The road ahead was full of possibilities, but they knew that regardless of what happened, they discovered the journey they had shared up to that point had already changed their lives in ways they never imagined. As the truth began to emerge from the shadows of the past, the tension in Andalusia intensified. Luna, who until then was searching for answers about her origins with a mixture of hope and anxiety, suddenly found herself face to face with danger. The villain whose actions had remained hidden in the shadows now moved openly, determined to interrupt Luna's search for the truth. On a hot afternoon, as Luna walked through the narrow streets of the city, an unexpected encounter occurred. The villain, an imposing figure, approached him in an isolated alley, far from the curious glances of passers-by. "You don't know what you're getting into, little girl." He, his voice full of threat, "Abandon this senseless search, or you might not like what you find." Although scared, Luna maintained a defiant stance. "I am not going to stop until I discover the truth about my past." "Nothing you say will make me give up," she responded, her determination shining brightly in her eyes. It was at that moment that James appeared. As if guided by a sense of unwavering protection, Evelyn called, running towards her when he saw James. The villain stepped back, knowing that he couldn't face both of them. "This doesn't end here," he murmured before disappearing into the shadows of the alley. Alfred, upon reaching Luna, enveloped her in his arms, making sure she was safe. "I will not allow anything to happen to you," he promised, an oath that carried the full weight of his turbulent emotions. The attempted intimidation only served to strengthen James's determination in Luna. Together they decided to confront the family conspiracy that had been unleashed. The events of the past, the pieces began to fit together. The accident was not a tragic accident, but the result of a dark drama woven by envy and greed within the Johnson family itself. Upon further investigation, they discovered evidence of manipulations and betrayals that had been carefully hidden. The truth about the accident turned out to be even more sinister than they imagined, involving not only the villain who had confronted them, but also other members of the family who saw James and his line of succession as a threat to their own desires for power and control. This knowledge did not come without its price. The revelation of the true circumstances behind the accident and the realization of the extent of the family betrayal left James and Luna shocked. However, rather than deterring them, these discoveries only prompted them to seek justice and reparation. As night fell over Andalusia, James and Luna were now more than ever determined to fully unravel the veil of secrets that shrouded Luna's past and restore the honor and integrity that had been sullied by the greed of others. United in a common cause, they prepared to face what the future would bring them, armed with the truth and an unbreakable bond that united them. James and Luna's determination to unravel the truth about Luna's past and the dark circumstances surrounding the accident culminated in an inevitable confrontation. Armed with the evidence gathered during their tireless search, they came face to face with the villain whose nefarious actions had cast long shadows over their lives. In a tense encounter held in the old library of La Mansion Johnson, a space full of memories and secrets, James confronted the villain with a cold calm, contrasting with the storm of emotions that boiled within him. "Why did you do it?" James asked, his voice low, but charged with an intensity that filled the room. "Why destroy so many lives? Why separate a child from his family?" The villain, cornered and realizing that the siege was closing, initially tried to evade the accusations. However, faced with the irrefutable mountain of evidence presented by James and Luna, his facade began to crumble. The pressure of the moment and the awareness that there was no way out led him to a state of despair, breathing deeply as if a great weight oppressed him, tied in a destructive obsession leading him to conceive a diabolical plan to eliminate James from the path without considering the devastating consequences of his actions. The confession was a blow to James and Luna, who listened attentively, struggling to process the enormity of what was revealed. The villain detailed how he manipulated events and people, including the fabrication of the accident, with the aim of destabilizing James and taking full control of the company and the fortune of the Johnson family. I never thought. I only wanted power. The position that I believed in, said his voice now, a trembling whisper marked by a shadow of regret. But now I realize the emptiness of my achievements and the price of my ambition. The silence that followed was charged with emotion. James, confronted with the depth of betrayal within her own family, felt a mixture of anger, sadness, and relief for finally knowing the truth. Luna, for her part, looked at the man who had caused so much suffering, feeling a strange compassion for his pathetic fall. With the confession made, James and Luna knew that they still had challenges. Ahead, it was necessary to face the legal and personal repercussions of the villain's actions. However, at that moment there was also a sense of closure and the possibility of beginning to heal the wounds of the past. As night fell on the Johnson mansion, James and Luna left the library together, one step closer to rebuilding their lives. Now, with the truth revealed and justice at hand, the road ahead was still uncertain, but they walked side by side, strengthened by the truth and the hope of a new beginning. After the emotional storm unleashed by the villain's confession, James and Luna found themselves in a state of silent expectation. The next step was undeniable and, in some ways, the most personal of all. A DNA test that promised to answer the questions that had plagued their souls. The morning they received the results was filled with palpable tension as they sat side by side in an austere doctor's office, whose walls seemed to resonate with the rapid beating of their hearts as they awaited the doctor's arrival. When the door finally opened and the doctor entered, carrying an envelope that would seal the fate of both of them, Luna felt James's hand squeeze hers in a gesture of mutual support, with a serene expression. The doctor did not prolong the suspense. "The results are conclusive," he began, looking from James to Luna. "Mr. Johnson, Luna, you are father and daughter." The words seemed to suspend time, filling the room with a mixture of relief and disbelief. James, whose eyes filled with tears, turned to look at Luna. In his gaze, there was a depth of emotion that transcended the words. Joy, sadness, love, and mourning for the irrecoverable years they had lost. Luna, for her part, felt a whirlwind of feelings. The confirmation of her connection with James was simultaneously a balm for her soul, long tormented by the lack of belonging, and a source of pain from the awareness of the moments that they could never share. "I have a father," she whispered, her voice broken with emotion. "You were right. We are family." James embraced her in a hug that contained years of unexpressed love and protection. "My daughter," he said, each word vibrating with the strength of his emotions. "I promise you, from today, to make up for every lost moment, we will rebuild our life together." Leaving the doctor's office was not the end of their day, but a new beginning. Confronted with the reality of their confirmed relationship, James and Luna knew that they had a lot to navigate and heal. There was the mourning for the lost years, the joy of reunion, and the challenge of building a father-daughter relationship that they had both dreamed of but never dared to hope would come true. As they walked through the streets of Andalusia back to the warmth of home, Johnson, they were not just two individuals united by a search for the truth. They were a family reunited, ready to face the future with the strength that only true love can offer. The revelation of the blood ties that united them was only the first step towards a shared life full of learning, possibilities, and, above all, unconditional love. The sun of Andalusia shone with a new and promising light, reflecting the feelings of hope and renewal that permeated the lives of Luna and James Johnson. The discovery of their blood ties was not just an end to the search that had led them united, but the beginning of an exciting chapter in their lives. Luna, with the unwavering support of James, began the journey of reintegration into the Johnson family. It was a process full of discoveries not only about her past and the history of her family, but also about herself. Each encounter, Each conversation with James and the other family members revealed layers of her identity that she never knew existed. She learned about family traditions, about the dreams and desires of her parents before their disappearance, and, most importantly, about the unconditional love that, even in her absence, James, for his part, was determined to ensure that the Johnson family's legacy was one of integrity and compassion. Aware of the role that power struggles and greed had played in the tragedy that separated his family, he knew that significant changes were necessary in the management of his company. With decisiveness and justice, he began to eliminate the harmful influences that had become ingrained in the company's corporate culture, replacing them with practices that promote equity, transparency, and a welcoming work environment. These changes not only revitalized the company, but also reaffirmed the faith of its employees and partners in the leadership of James, becoming an example that it is possible to conduct business successfully while remaining faithful to ethical and humanitarian principles. To Luna, the process of building relationships with her biological family was a deeply enriching experience. Although there were moments of hesitation and vulnerability, the love and support she received from James and the others helped her overcome any uncertainty. She began to feel an integral part of the Johnson family, realizing that although the past could not be changed, the future offered infinite possibilities for happiness and belonging. Luna's reintegration into the Johnson family was celebrated with an intimate ceremony, symbolizing not only her return, but also the beginning of a new era for the family. It was a moment of deep emotion for all present, marking the closing of a painful chapter and the beginning of a journey of healing and love. New beginnings for Luna and James Johnson were marked by learning, growth, and, above all, love. Together they faced the shadows of the past and emerged stronger, ready to build a bright future based on the values of family, integrity, and compassion. Andalusia, with its vibrant streets and beating heart, witnessed this renaissance, being a constant reminder that even after the darkest night, the sun always shines majestically again. The garden of the Johnson residence was impeccably Prado for the occasion that would mark the renaissance of the family. Flowers in full bloom created a multicolored carpet that extended throughout the space, while garlands of lights twinkled delicately under the Andalusia twilight. It was a night of celebration, not only for the Johnson family, but for the entire community that had supported and waited for the moment to welcome Luna into their true family. The party, carefully planned by James and Luna, had a dual purpose: to formally introduce Luna to the society of Andalusia. Luna, driven by moral principles, raised significant funds for the orphanage that had taken her in during her years of uncertainty. This gesture of generosity and gratitude reflected the cycle of love and charity that now defined Luna's life. Guests from all spheres of local society arrived, each expressing their admiration and support for Luna. They were received with warmth and hospitality, typical of the Johnson family, now rejuvenated by joy and togetherness. Music filled the air, a harmonious mix of classic melodies and local rhythms inviting everyone to share the happiness. From the memorable occasion of Luna's entrance, the garden fell into a respectful silence with all eyes on her. She was dressed elegantly, but with a simplicity that spoke to her gentle and welcoming character. Luna walked next to James, who radiated pride and excitement. The key-shaped pendant, now recognized as a symbol of her journey and heritage, shone under the setting sun, attracting admiring glances. James spoke before the guests, briefly sharing Luna's story and the meaning of the celebration. His words were charged with emotion and resonated deeply in the hearts of all present, reinforcing the importance of family, love, and generosity. As the night progressed in a spirit of joy and communion, generous donations were made to the orphanage, each contribution a testament to the kindness and solidarity that Luna's story had inspired. The party became more than just a celebration. It was an act of gratitude and commitment to the well-being of the less fortunate. When the party reached its climax, Luna and James, surrounded by friends and family, contemplated the future with hope and determination. The journey they had undertaken together, full of challenges and discoveries, culminated in a moment of union and promise of new beginnings. The rebirth of the Johnson family was not only the story of Luna finding her rightful place, it was a reminder of the transformative power of love, truth, and generosity. Under the starry sky of Andalusia, Luna's pendant was not only a key to her past, but also to a bright future full of possibilities and the certainty that no matter the obstacles, family and love will always prevail.